All right, we are live. We are live. So you guys already know what I do, but this time I had to bring in some, as I call, some elite people that are definitely involved in wrestling and also gamers as well. And I'm gonna let them introduce themselves one by one. Um, Obviously, you guys know me and Dom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with my guy Based over there. So Based, go ahead and tell everybody, man.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? My name's Based or Scott. I run West Coast Pro Wrestling, and if you're on the internet a lot, I also run and co-own Fat Kid Deals.
So everybody who knows about the Fat Kid deals, you know this is the guy that you lose all your money to, because whatever you need, they
This
got
is
it.
the
They
guy.
find it.
This is the
this
guy, huh?
is the guy.
I just ordered something earlier
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
That's us.
yeah.
What's going on, people? This is LX Dark Sniper, co-founder of League of Excellence Esports Entertainment. YouTube channel is LX Dark Sniper, where you can find the best Fight Night Champions boxing entertainment videos anywhere on the net. Check it out, and I can't wait to start this podcast and we can talk some wrestling with you guys.
Hey guys, and all listeners, my name's Chris. I'm just a diehard fan, been a big wrestling fanatic since I was able to walk, big time gamer. Looking forward to talking shop with you guys.
If you don't know by now, my name is Rick James.
Bitch.
Exactly. Thank you for the introduction. I'm just a usual casual person, just real cool. Shout out to them bringing me here. I don't know why they brought me here, but hey, shout out to them.
I think because we probably owe you. I probably owe you money. That's probably why I'm
I
doing
think
this as a
you
favor.
may do. You may owe me some money, I
Yeah.
believe.
All right, and of course, man, up top, my guy Dom. You guys already know, but Dom, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah. Dom, like Hendo said, me and him do, most sports talks together. Also, I have Euphoric Trip and also the High Flyers Wrestling Podcast. We cover everything, especially with all the shenanigans going on right now. Shout out to Vince. Not really. But, yeah. So subscribe. Check us out on all your major streaming sites. PS4, Xbox One. I'm delivering ass whoopings all around. So, holla at me.
All right. So obviously today is something special because we all gamers, and growing up, for the majority of us, we enjoyed a lot of these games. We enjoyed a lot of these games, of course, a lot of these wrestling games. So for starters, I want to know. We'll get to the 64 part because obviously that's probably what they call the golden age for most guys on the wrestling games. But
Most
anybody into the Nintendo Sega era wrestling games? I remember they had Royal Rumble. I think they had was it WrestleMania? I believe.
They had WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and they had Raw on Sega. I don't know if I don't know if that was on Super Nintendo or not.
I know it was on Sega for sure.
You had WrestleMania Arcade Acclaim on that one.
Super
You had
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania WrestleFest. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hated WrestleMania arcade game, especially fighting the Undertaker.
What? Love that game. That game was fun. It was stupid fun.
Dude.
Undertaker
No,
and
the
Razor
Undertaker should
Ramon.
have been banned. That game is the reason why the Undertaker is banned from all future games. That WrestleMania arcade.
Undertaker crawls so Goldberg can walk.
Yeah, he
Wow.
and he has a fatality in the game. A fatality, bro.
Oh,
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
man. I hated
But,
Batman.
so shout out to the original three.
So
Shout out to the original
I think like
three.
for me, I was looking at some gaming history. I remember there was a WCW game as well. I believe it was on Super Nintendo, if I'm not
Super
mistaken.
Brawl.
Yes.
Player was on the cover of it.
Super Brawl.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember like that game was like really bad apparently.
It was
It was
awesome.
horrendous.
Like I remember playing like WrestleMania. My favorite wrestler was Papa Shango. So like I love Papa Shango. So that's the only person I would pick because he had the best move set, even though like everybody did the same moves, but his moves seemed to be he had a lot more moves. I remember they had Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, he had the backbreaker basically at that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, like they had some pretty good stuff on there. Then of course you had Terry. We already know who Terry is. They had Terry on the game.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Shout out
it's on
to
Wrestle
Yeah, then
Shango, though. Who would have known in 5 years, 5 or 7 years later, Papa Shango would have all the hoes? Who knew?
Yeah. He's going down saying that was his favorite persona.
I wonder why.
Chrome Studios, 1994, made Super Brawl. It had Vader, Sting, and Ric Flair on the cover.
Wow.
Yeah. Big
Yep.
fan Vader.
Really?
So for obviously for PlayStation, the worst I'm gonna ask you off the bat. The worst wrestling game I probably ever played, not named WCW Mayhem or Backstage or something, was WCW Nitro. I hated that damn game.
Oh, Thunder.
I don't know about y'all, but I hate
Thunder, and then there was
Thunder was
WCW
a
I wanna
versus
say
terrible
Thunder.
game.
World.
was another one too. I hated on.
Or there
Thunder
was
was trash.
WCW had Super Brawl on the Game Boy, and it was it was very not. It was hard. It was stupid hard.
Was I the
NES
only
hard.
Dude,
was I the
I
only one
hated
that played ECW Hardcore Revolution with RVD on the front?
You just
Didn't
do
they
that.
have a sequel to that too?
Chair kick.
Unlocking Rules or some shit?
Yeah, and I had both of them.
Where you had to push up, up, down, down, left, right,
So,
through a body slam?
Also, they had In Your House too on the PS1.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had Power Move Pro Wrestling. That was another one that I know I had for
Yeah.
sure.
That was the first PlayStation game I ever owned.
I hated Power Move Pro.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's all I can say is yeah.
Well, the crazy thing on Thunder, the only good thing about that game was the little introductions you would get for each wrestler before you would select them. My favorite one was Kevin Nash. She would just say, "I know what you're thinking. Don't even pick me. Pick somebody else." That was the only good thing about that game. Other than that game was garbage.
So the ill thing was like those games you played. So you had like Nitro, Thunder, Backstage Assault, and stuff like that. But they weren't like pivotal. Attitude, that was a pivotal game. No Mercy, things like that. But it's weird that like most of the WCW stuff, they went from AKI, I think that's the name of it,
Yeah.
THQ, to the companies that made these games. And those games bombed, bro. I just didn't understand why anyone played them.
Yeah, I mean, it was all downhill once they came out with Backstage Assault on the Nintendo 64. Like the fact that they had tire irons in the junkyard as the turnbuckles. Nothing good was gonna come from that game whatsoever.
What came out first? The Def. What was that one? It was on the 64. Different rappers like
Def Jam Vendetta, yeah.
Yeah, Vendetta, Def Jam Vendetta. Didn't Backstage Assault come out first, or Def? Yeah. I mean, it's like when Backstage Assault came out, they used some of that ideas and stuff for Vendetta.
Yeah.
But I mean, that'd be if you were trying to say anything good about Backstage Assault, that would probably be it.
And I didn't even think about that. So you have to go deep to even come up with something positive to say about Backstage Assault. But
yeah, there's two.
Yeah.
There's Def Jam Vendetta and then Def Jam Fight
for New York. We don't talk about Icon.
I didn't even know. I didn't know anyone played it. Shit, that's crazy. Oh, wait, so ask this question for you guys. What's your favorite? What's both of y'all's, or all three of y'all's? What's your favorite wrestling game of all time?
Ooh.
It was No Mercy until I played the Virtual Pro Wrestling games on Nintendo 64. So I would go with Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 on Nintendo 64.
There you go.
I would go. I mean, No Mercy is always going to be like the defaulto for a lot of guys. I loved SmackDown versus Here Comes the Pain.
That was a good one.
That one, you started getting more into storylines or story driven. That was kind of cool. It was more. They were getting away from like the arcade feel that they were doing with the SmackDown games and go more towards actual wrestling and storyline. And that was my favorite.
Endo?
I think he's.
I'm gonna say Revenge for me.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
I mean, Revenge easily.
Goldberg, you just spear everybody.
Yeah, I'm lagging.
Constantly spearing people.
Revenge was tight. I like that one. It had Raven in it. Because World Tour was tight. WCW versus NWO World Tour was tight. Revenge was sick. I think my favorite pro wrestling. I mean, my favorite game of all time is gonna say the series Fire Pro.
Yeah, I feel you. My thing with the Fire Pro games though is just learning the buttons though. Like that's the hardest thing for me to do is just learn how to, you know what I'm saying, use a control scheme. Like how long did it take you to like learn how to like
I mean, thankfully, because I played D, so I played the Dreamcast, the first one I played, and that one, um, thankfully, the guy that introduced me to it, he knew how it was, so it was basically just like timing and shit.
Now, personally, I feel like the Nintendo GameCube wrestling games, like the Day of Reckoning and the WrestleMania 18,
Those are
don't
cool.
don't really get the love it do because like you could break up any move, like literally.
Not a lot of people had the GameCube too, which is, I mean, compared to
Mhm.
PlayStation, and PlayStation was killing shit. Xbox, like the OG Xbox came through, and but a lot of the GameCube stuff people didn't even know existed. The Day of Reckoning, it's up there. Like if you're putting a lot of the Uke stuff up in there, I'm gonna have to put Day of Reckoning up there because Day of Reckoning had depth to it.
That's a youth game too, right?
Is it
Yeah,
you?
it's.
Yeah.
Let me see.
The Ukes game that uses the AKI engine.
It is. Holy shit. Yeah, Uke's
Oh
THQ. Yeah.
wow,
Damn, that shit is hella slept on. It's ugly as shit. The one that I thought that was the worst was the WWF Raw on the Xbox original.
The
Or the
graphics looked amazing, but the gameplay was hot garbage.
horrible. What was the other one? The Royal Rumble.
WrestleMania 23 too.
That
Was it
shit was
WrestleMania
terrible.
20? Was it WrestleMania 20 or 20?
Oh.
Now,
No,
I
it was
was
WrestleMania 18, I think.
that was
On
the one on
GameCube.
GameCube, but it was like one on Xbox. I don't know if it was WrestleMania 20 or if it was WrestleMania 23.
Oh, you're right. I can't remember which one it is.
Like the gameplay was horrible, but the story was lit though. You know what I'm saying? Like Evolution them ended up like jumping you in the parking lot.
Damn. Raw was a THQ game too.
Yep.
And y'all know what I just realized? You can't even do custom entrance music no more. And you could do it back then on like the original Xbox.
Yeah, because I used to have so much music on deck, with like the NBA 2K. Yeah, NBA 2K, the NFL, like you could have like the audience or the crowd noise and the arena music playing whatever you want. And then in WWF games, like back then, like you said, you could have your own interest music and shit.
Oh shit! Because you could save it to the Xbox hard drive. That's what
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was like. Well, you can have your own shit. I'm like, man, I didn't even. I know Fire Pro does it now, but that's crazy.
If y'all could now though, what would y'all interest music be though?
Oh shit!
When I was playing, I always had I had Deftones. I come in the ring too.
It was always Natural Born Killers. Like that was.
Mine would be 3-6 Mafia. Hit a motherfucker.
There you go.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I was coming out on some Easy E. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Dr. Dre, you my boy, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, so like we were discussing earlier, like Jeremy, you know what I'm saying? We was talking about the AEW video games. We was talking about the whole Aki system. I know you're a big component of that. Now, I will say this. He is probably the best No Mercy player I've ever played against.
Did you play the modern ones?
I want to get WCW Feel the Bang. I saw a video on that recently, and it looks amazing. I just haven't had the time to like download the mod and figure out how to get it to work.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how, but he know how to reverse literally everything on all the Nintendo 64 wrestling games.
Yeah, that's because me and my homeboy, my childhood friend, we used to sit there and we used to practice the timing of every single move in the game when we were kids. And so, that shit never left us. So whenever me and him still play to this day, it's usually a reversal fest. And what can I say?
Right.
If they drop a new wrestling game, I can't wait till if they drop an esports or a tournament aspect in it, because I'm definitely gonna be competing.
Just pick Undertaker.
See, I'm glad Undertaker isn't gonna be in the game.
No,
Undertaker ain't gotta worry about that. But Dustin Rhodes is in the game, so maybe we can get a 7 costume or 7 DLC.
Now,
oh man, I remember that
gimmick.
gimmick.
And shit.
Now I
remember that gimmick.
Now I heard you say that Jeremy is the best No Mercy player you played. Okay, now I got a rebuttal here. Jeremy
Sniper.
cheats. He cheats. He cheats.
I do not cheat.
Shots fired.
Chris Benoit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's also banned.
How y'all gonna ban Benoit, man?
Well, he's banned from everything else.
Man, how y'all gonna ban him? That has nothing to do with his wrestling skill. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. Like to me, when LX plays, he plays better with Benoit. But I will say this: he is very, very, very good with Mortis. When he played with Mortis one time, I was like, dude, what the? Like he had Mortis looking like Goldberg. Mortis. Rest in peace to Chris Canyon, though.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
Wait till you see my Perry Saturn in No Mercy. I haven't even showed y'all that.
Is it the one where he's wearing a dress?
Nah, no dress this time.
Carrying the mop.
And the yeah, I was just about to say the mop.
I remember that.
So I got a question for y'all. So on WCW versus NWO, did you guys know any like special like hidden like Easter eggs or anything?
I don't remember.
So I know one for sure.
I don't remember.
So there was one that you can do where if you played against Sting or anybody who wore face paint, and if their person had the thing where they like gouged, I guess they do something to their eyes where they like scratching it or whatever. If you do it too many times, the player's paint will start coming off and it'll TKO them automatically.
Yeah, that was in World Tour. You're right.
Yeah,
I remember the paint coming off. I didn't know you could TKO.
Yeah, you TKO.
I can't remember who it is, but I think somebody goes to a special after they lose their face paint. I think it's the Great Muta in the Japanese version.
Damn.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They have the same rumor for Revenge on the mask wrestlers where you could rip the mask off, but it's kind of found out it wasn't true. You won't TKO them, but you could rip the mask off. And I've never seen that. I thought it was all caps, so I was like, all right, bet. I remember looking like they were talking about what do you call it, like video game like legends, like you know how GTA had like Bigfoot, but they got one up there too. That was a trip that they brought that in there.
Yeah, I remember it was a couple other things you could do in there that was like a cheat code. So apparently, like if you played against Ric Flair and you picked Hogan would do the diamond cutter. If you press A and B at the same time to do the other person's special, you would get his special. You would get like
right.
Yeah, because you can steal people's specials on there. He has to work.
Attitude in Warzone.
Oh my god,
dude! Can it be like a tie for worst one?
WWF Warzone made me realize that WCW versus the World wasn't that bad of a game like I used to think it was as a kid.
What?
Because I used to hate WCW versus the World until I played Warzone, and I was like, ugh.
I'm gonna say this off the bat. Attitude had the best customization I had seen at the time because it lets you create like the thing that Base was talking about. Like I remember, like you can create your background, your ring, your lights, the Titantron,
the entrances.
You can pay views.
Color, entrance colored lights. Actually, you're right. That was at the time. I'd say they had the best like as a whole. So like coming out the music and what colors and what Titantron that you wanted to use. But as far as like
was dope too.
Yeah, but as far as like actual customization, there's never been. I mean, as soon as I've seen it, and this includes Attitude and Warzone was Fire Pro. I mean, that game alone, that customization wise, the greatest ever.
Oh yeah, Attitude was amazing. And I remember like just doing that. I was like, because you can create a pay-per-view, and it was crazy. You could set matches.
I remember that. Yep.
And I was like,
I used to do that.
And I was like, man, we would be on that like that. That was one thing we would do a lot, but it was just like you said, it was to the point where the only thing I didn't like was when they had the Royal Rumble on there on War. I think it was on Attitude. You had to like do something crazy. You had to get them close to the rope just to throw them out the ring.
Yeah,
like it was like stupid. You couldn't like clothesline them apparently.
Well, I mean, you can now.
I forgot which SmackDown game it was, but there was one where you could customize everything from lights, pyro, music, whenever the pyro went off, so you could time it with the music and everything. That was probably the best customization in any wrestling game.
I think that was on the PS2 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was on the 3.
I think it was on 3.
The 2K15, I think.
Ooh, that's the one with John Cena was on the front.
Maybe I'm trying to find it, but that was one of the best out of all the wrestling games. I think that was the best overall customizations in any game.
For the WWE ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the WWE, it was like it wasn't close. Like I think that was probably for sure.
Yep, that was John Cena.
To me, if Revenge would have had No Mercy's capabilities, oh my god, like because Revenge for me was like that was crazy, like because they let Sting come from the top. I remember that. Like I remember one time I was playing and Sting could come from the top, and that's when they introduced like you having a manager come to the ring. Like when you pick Macho Man, it would be Miss Elizabeth. Yeah, that was crazy for me. But like, yeah, Revenge for me, that's where like I thought was like the greatest thing ever because that's when WCW was like way up there. And to me, I used to play with the cruiserweights all the time.
Yep.
Like when me, LX, and Dom get together, we usually get the like Juventud is a cheat code on that game.
Yeah.
Dude, I was
Eddie
like,
Guerrero is too.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I liked Revenge, but I think the only reason why I liked No Mercy better is the storylines that you got to be put in, and then also they had it to where if you progress further in the game, you would get currency, and you would buy stuff for your entrance, and
yeah, you're right.
yeah, then you would play forever just to unlock like The Rock's $1 million shirt or something like that.
Right.
No, the stupidest one.
And then if you had an original copy of the game, after a while, all that hard work that you did, gone. I hated that shit, bro.
No, the one thing I used to hate was when me and a couple of my homies we used to play, and I used to let them borrow the game, and then like I had my own creative wrestler. We would like I would go back to their house and play it, right? And then all of a sudden I get on. My dude walks like a girl all of a sudden. I used to hate that, bro.
Oh, you can switch it up.
Damn.
Like I had the stupidest finishing move. Like I had that stupid finish move that like that flop that Ric Flair does. Like that was so
That's a
stupid.
classic.
Yeah, that's dude. Speaking of which, like Hogan's finishing move on like that game was like stupid. Even though he has the leg drop doesn't do anything. It don't like TKO anybody or anything, so you can't really.
No, in real life, Hogan regrets having that as a finisher. He hated the leg drop now because it's jacked up his back.
Well,
Was it Japanese? Was it the Axe Bomber?
Yep.
You know, it's a shame that he couldn't wrestle more Japanese style because I watched a few of his matches in Japan not that long ago, and he could actually wrestle.
Well,
He
I
actually
always
has
tell
some
people the
decent
Muda match, they freak out. They're like, "Wait, Hogan could do what?" I'm like, "Watch this. He's doing like
He was doing
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
kicks and
he has
It's like
to
he did an
wrestle
arm drag, and you're like, what the heck?
Mhm. Yeah, the drop toe holds from Hulk Hogan always makes me laugh every time.
no, like I used to. You know what's crazy? And I'm gonna ask you guys this. Like, I think he's one of the greatest like heels of all time. I don't think he's a great wrestler, but I think he's a great heel. I think he's probably like one of the least. I would say personally for me, and like I said, I'm probably the least biggest wrestling fan out of everybody in this group. But I would say for me, he's definitely one of the. I would say personally for me, 5 best heels I've ever seen. Just heel, not nothing else. Just heel.
Well, I can agree with that. The thing with Hogan though was when he was a heel, he made it cool though. He was getting people cheering for him too.
he was so good at the heel that he got cheered for it. Kind of like
Yeah,
Stone Cold.
Yeah.
but the thing that made him such a great heel was when he turned heel at that Bash of the Beach. No one saw that coming, and he was
Right.
a face for so long.
Yeah.
The fact that he turned into a heel, that was like the biggest hits of professional wrestling at that time, period.
I think Bret Hart was an underrated heel. In fact, I think he's one of the best heels ever just because of how he did it. Because he was a heel in one country and a face in another country, and I ain't seen that shit before or since.
Yeah.
That was
And
good writing. They made it really good when you had North America versus anybody else. But the fact that the WWE at the time traveled and they did a lot of shows up in Canada, especially like a lot of the old Stampede area places. Like it's just that was solid, and it made Brett really dope too. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people would say that he's not he doesn't have a lot of charisma. But I mean, all those pissed off promos, I thought those were fantastic.
I think his when he was a baby, when he was working babyface, he had his basic cookie, babyface promos, but then when he went heel, I don't know, it was just those promos were so scathing and to the point that he sounded real believable on the mic at that time.
Well, that's probably most time, like most wrestlers, they like being heel because your sole purpose is to go out and make people mad. And that's a lot easier than making people cheer for you. When Brett was cutting those promos, he was just letting loose. And like you
Yeah.
said, as a face, it was just a cookie cutter type, "Yay, I'm the good guy. I'm going to go out and beat the bad guy" type promos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, like, I don't know, Dom. Like, I know you're really big into like heels and stuff. Like, who would you say, like, for you, like, if you could pick one heel that you could run with, who would it be?
Mine would probably be a manager though, be Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Ooh,
I just always love Bobby the Brain Heenan, dog. But if I had to choose one out of all those, though, I would go Bobby the Brain Heenan. But wrestling wise, I would go Gino Hernandez, though.
good choice.
Gino
That's
had some
great
bad
choice.
heat. Yeah, that's a good choice.
That's a really good choice. Actually,
Damn.
I'm shocked that you were the first people I've heard in a while say Gino. That's crazy.
So what about you, Base? Because I mean, you gotta say if you with your promotion, if you could take any person from any prime to be your heel, who would it be?
Probably Terry Funk.
Mm.
Terry Funk was believable to me. Like every time I heard his shit, I was like, he'll beat the shit out of anybody.
Who's probably still wrestling to this day.
Yeah,
2020.
like I don't think people. I think Terry Funk is very underrated, and I mean that because he's not brought up enough. Just in general. I think Terry Funk has been through the most decades, and it was always around when the shit was cracking, whether it would be Japan and America. And then Terry Funk helped build ECW too. But when you go look at his stuff with Dusty or Jerry Lawler or any of the territories, expect like Florida or whatever, he adapts to every single situation as a heel or a face. I mean, I think Terry Funk to me is the greatest of all time.
Wow.
On a side note, what a lot of people don't know is he was actually in WCW versus the World.
Yeah.
He had a different name, right?
Yeah,
Under a different name, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember his name in the game, but let me find it.
See, when it comes,
I think you meant World Tour. I apologize. I never played First of the World. My bad.
His name was
When it
Major
comes to heel,
Tom in the game.
it's when I think I have to agree with CWY on the messaging. Ric Flair, when he was at his pinnacle point as a heel,
Oh, it's
he
fantastic.
elevated the faces that he went up against.
Ooh.
Ric Flair could have made you cheer for Charles Manson. That's how great of a heel he was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And if you want to see like the best heel promo work, the promos he was doing with Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah.
that was phenomenal. But I have to agree with CWY. My favorite heel will always be Ric Flair.
What about you, Enrique?
Roddy Piper might have been that's arguable.
Right,
Piper, yeah.
he said it right there. Roddy Piper is money. Right there, that was my choice. Roddy Piper would be my choice.
On the mic, Piper. No one could touch Mike on the mic as a heel. In ring work, Ric Flair would just do things that would just make you just hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that, Dan. That's a good one. So another question that CWY did have when he was talking about beefs, like when it comes to like obviously wrestling beefs and stuff. Did you guys have any in particular like cool wrestling beefs that you can remember?
Undertaker versus Mankind was so nasty. I don't even want to get. I'm not even.
That's a whole nother discussion right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the Von Ayers versus the Fabulous Freebirds, like that was like people literally really want to kill the Freebirds. Like when you see Michael P.S. Hayes outside the sportatorium, you want to do something to him. But I mean, as much as we talk crap about John Cena, Randy Orton and John Cena, they had a pretty good, solid rivalry. You know what I'm saying? Throughout a long
John Cena versus Edge, also.
Edge versus Matt Hardy because it was real life.
That was
I would say before it got corny when Sting was going at the NWO. Like,
Yeah.
like
Sting took on everybody.
I agree with that one. I was gonna say the greatest two, Sting and NWO is up there because they waited an entire year before they touched, and that was Super Brawl. I remember that.
Yep.
And they didn't know it was just Sting coming in, fucking everybody up, and they built it for a year straight, and that was cool. The other one was Taz and Sabu. If you fuck with each other or whatever, like, but you know, it is what it is. But like, they didn't touch for a year either, and they only had monthly shows. But you could tell, like, because you believe Taz will kill somebody, and then you have Sabu, who's fucking crazy too. And then you every time they jump to the ring or whatever, like, and then how it popped up, they'd hit the lights because I know ECW always did that shit. They'd hit the lights and turn them back on, and somebody be in the ring. Sabu was in there with Taz, and people lost it. And that's what it was. Yeah, no, barely legal. That was like the first.
Yep.
And that match, that rivalry, if it didn't have that rivalry, ECW wouldn't be chanting ECW like that. I firmly believe that rivalry right there is
that made ECW. You're right about that. One rivalry I think that was one of the best, if not one of the craziest ones back in the day, was Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter when Sergeant Slaughter turned against the U.S.
That's my first.
Oh my god!
First pay-per-view I've ever seen. If I'd never seen WrestleMania 7, I probably would never been in wrestling. Swear to God.
Man.
I think
Man.
I think the top two, bringing up my childhood, was Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan. You know, the Mega Power. I always say, you know, childhood you liked Hulk Hogan, but when you became an adult, you realized that Macho Man may have been in the right. But
Yeah. When you grow up, the real story comes out, kind of.
Right. And I think the one beef that changed the industry was, you know, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
You know, that I think that rivalry pretty much wrecked kayfabe in general, in a sense.
Yep.
Because, but then again, you also got the birth of probably one of the greatest heels, Mr. McMahon, and brought up the best beef in wrestling history, in my opinion, Austin versus McMahon.
That was fun.
The butterfly effect, you know, it should be a lot different.
Yeah, I agree with y'all on that. See, that was the thing. Like, somebody was also in the comments, and the comments not popping up for him, but he was asking, like, when Sting was going against the NWO, we also need to give a lot of credit to Scott Hall for making Sting be that Sting. Because without Scott Hall, that Sting doesn't exist. Because
he helped create that persona.
Like, that's like, to me, I thought it was just cool because like Bass said, like, he was just sitting in the top of the freaking like dome every freaking night in an arena, just standing there, and like they would be like, "What is that? What is he doing?" Like, he was like,
and that would end the show. Actually, that would always end the show, was him in the rafters, and then they just cut off.
I haven't watched WWE in probably 3 years. Legitimately, like, I can't watch Raw. I only watch clips. Do they stopped completely with doing cliffhangers? Like, nothing crazy happens at the end of the shows no more.
Dude.
I still watch it. They've kind of gotten away with really classic storylines and storytelling, and they just do like the same matches over and over, but trying to force a storyline in it, and it just doesn't feel right.
Okay, I was always on it, like, because again, we grew up in a different era, so I'm not gonna act like my opinion holds weight. But I was always looking at, why would I want to watch next week? Not as a knock to it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Because everyone knew, like, Monday you had Raw and Nitro. Crazy shit happened. Tuesday you were at school talking about it. And then
fuck Monday Night Football.
Sunday night you're like, okay, pay-per-view, cool. Now you got to watch the fallout of it on Monday.
Dude.
It was worth waiting for.
Dude, because I remember, like, the whole thing about Sting joining the NWO. It was like, they made it, like you said. I remember they closed that show before that, and it was like, people didn't think he was going to join, like, the Wolfpack. It was like he was going to join the NWO, and then, like, the next show, he's like, literally, he does a little fake shirt thing, and then he beats up the whole NWO, and he's in the Wolfpack. Like, I just thought it was crazy. Like, I agree with you, because things used to happen all the time, like, right as the match ends, and then they'll show that caption at the bottom, and then people is like, you'll find out on Thursday on Thunder what happened, or you'll find out on Nitro. But speaking of, like, factions and stuff, did you guys enjoy, like, the NWO and the things of that nature? Because obviously NWO then we had the NWO Wolfpack, but then it got out of hand. There was the LWO and different factions after that.
Shout out to the Blue World. BWO, baby.
The LWO.
NWO
Shout out to
saved
them.
WCW and killed WCW at the same
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
Or Kevin Nash did.
But when he became the
Finger poke-
booker, it was
Shout out
bad.
to the Finger Poke of Doom.
Right.
Yeah.
When Jeff Jarrett was running the NWO, I knew it was a wrap.
Two
After
words.
the
Vince
Sting one,
Russo.
I think NWO died after that. 'Cause you had one dude literally punking the entire clique, and then he beats Hogan. 1, 2, 3.
Jeezy said it best. He said NWO was straight until it had 61 members.
I
They
like
had
that.
Disco Inferno.
Outside NWO, because what other? Because you remember there was a lot of factions back then.
It was.
You
Yeah, it
had the biker gang. You had
Ravens Flock.
you had Ravens Flock. You had Nation of Domination. You had all that type of shit.
Lost Boricua.
So
What
if
was
you
the
took
what was the
NWO
odd
out,
ones?
What was your favorite one?
The Truth Commission.
I would say for me, I would say the Flock, and then I was also, for some odd reason, I used to enjoy, like I was as a kid, I was like weird about like WWF stuff, but like the oddities used to have me laughing all the time.
There it is. The oddities. Thank you.
The oddities
Thank
are
you. The
crazy.
oddities. They had the best theme song, man.
Right.
Oh yeah, they had SA Clown Posse, right?
Yeah. ICP. They even had them come to the ring a couple of times with them too. If I remember correctly.
From that era, I was a triple threat, Mark.
Yeah.
Candido, Storm, Douglas, and Bam. Bam Bam to me is top 5 on any list. I think Bam Bam, people give him no credit. But if you, I was probably one of the only cats that thought DX was corny.
I love DX. I got
like
suspended so many times telling the teacher to suck it.
Yeah,
both iterations, like
I never thought they were dope.
That was dabbing in our day.
Like, because I was still in middle school when all that shit was happening. So
okay,
me too.
So it's within the era. So like that's what I'm saying. At that time I'm supposed to be telling everyone in the world to suck it. I was watching it, and I was like, man, like Michaels is dope. Triple H is dope, but I was just like, man, all they do is tell people to suck it, but they don't really be kicking nobody ass. Like they don't be. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. No one can tell me off the top of their head a solid like DX match. You know what I'm saying? I think the only time that anyone ever brings up DX as far as something that dope happened was I think when Chase on Charlie and Cactus Jack off the ramp with the garbage can. Like no one really tell me like what was a dope moment for DX other than like the tank and shit. You know what I mean?
Like just involving them with Stone Cold, that SmackDown episode where he dropped on the bus. I think that was memorable. But
then they showed up to WCW one time. Y'all remember that?
The tank.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. The tank.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take away anything from them. I just couldn't feel them to be like that's bad. They're bad as fuck. You know what I mean?
Well, when they first started, when they were feuding with Sergeant Slaughter, there were some funny moments in there.
I love Sergeant. Like, why are they talking shit to Sergeant? Like, he ain't doing nothing.
Well, he was like
they have the protective mask when he talked to them.
But it wasn't. It was weird because Sarge. Because I remember at the time they'd always have to come out every once in a while, put the Cobra Clutch on people. There was never any heel turn to make Sergeant turn into the hall monitor character that they wanted him to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's for me. I was like, damn, I grew up watching Sarge, but I don't. But that's me. I'm a minority. People love DX. Let's not take nothing away from him. It's just like little things for me. I was like, wait, huh?
Nah, I would say like I agree with you because now that I kind of like obviously we're older now. I thought Road Dogg is corny to me now. Like that was really corny.
Oh, you didn't know?
The little shuffle punch he did as a finisher?
Yeah, like come on, man.
Watch the entire Raw from that era. Like, have you watched? I challenge anyone to go watch Raw, like 4 episodes, for an entire month cycle. There's a lot of shit that stank on that thing, man, because it was really
from the Attitude Era.
Oh
Attitude,
yes,
it was opening.
Yes, checking out the network.
The crazy shit that you get at the opening and the end. That's all that mattered. Everything in between, I was like, this is mid. This is really not good. Didn't age well. Like, not.
See, the one thing
Attitude Era was
about
overrated
then versus the product now is it felt like the mid carders all had like shit to do.
Yeah.
Like
He
I
was
was
involved
when
somewhere.
Takamichinoku got his penis cut off. Or no, Val Venus was about to
Choppy,
get his
choppy,
penis.
yo, pee. Yeah, I remember
Choppy,
that.
choppy.
Time time.
Nah, when who was it? Was it Mae Young or who was that had the baby?
Mae Young.
Yep.
Oh, the
Yeah.
hand.
Oh my
Oh yeah, it was
god.
Mae Young.
The hand baby.
I stopped
Yeah.
watching WWF
Elf, yeah, it was Elf then.
2000,
Yeah.
2001.
I stopped watching right after they merged with WCW. I think I
Yeah, I
watched
stopped watching.
shortly after
Probably
that.
you and I
Yeah.
watched like a half a year, and then I was like, I'm out. I didn't watch
I'm
wrestling
a
at all.
mark. I still watch it.
I still watch it. I would say
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I still watch it.
I've seen the terrible times.
Fuck
I
that.
Ooh,
I
the
just man
John
like
Cena era.
dude, you know what else is really bad when WCW? I hate to admit it, but like remember when they had Master P on there? That was fucking
I
terrible.
hate
bro.
wrestling.
With the No Limit Soldiers.
Crap.
Yeah,
They were feuding with was it Kurt Hennig
Yep.
yeah, the West
and
Rapid
Texas
somebody
Crap.
else, and they
The
were
Touch
trying to have
Secret,
like
right?
doing music videos or something.
yeah, the
You
West
seen what
Texas
that Rapid
Rednecks.
Crap video?
Yep.
Yeah,
They had Kids Group too, right? Wasn't there a
yeah,
Kids came out?
They
yeah.
Yeah.
had what was that MMA fighter? Was it Tank? What
Tank
was
Yeah,
his
Abbott.
name?
Tank
Tank
Abbott.
Abbott. Yes.
Mhm.
And he was coming around just saying he wanted to knock out anybody, and then turned into a dancer or something. That was terrible.
Nah, and speaking of dancers, Disco Inferno and Alex Wright were terrible. Oh my god.
All right.
Mm.
All
Alex
right.
Wright was
Yeah.
solid.
Time out.
Alex Wright
You
was
know
solid.
what? I want to play devil's advocate on that, Hendo, because while they were terrible, I think they were a better gimmick in hindsight when you compare them to Fandango.
Yeah, well, him with the fashion police has been entertaining, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick up for my boy Disco Inferno. All right, Hendo.
Oh,
Oh
Well,
god.
I don't know,
He
man. They
was
may be a
hilarious.
tie. I
He
don't
was
know.
entertaining. It was when he would come to the ring dancing and La Parca came out of nowhere and hit him with a chair. That's entertainment right there. That
No.
was
Now,
funny.
I mean, I will say this though. Disco Inferno was cool enough to be sticking around the 50 Animals. Y'all remember that fashion with Eddie Guerrero, Rey
Yep.
Mysterio, when he had the mask off,
Oh, yeah.
Conan and all that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they let him hang around. Shout out to Hoover Guerrero, too.
Dude, the most random NWO member ever is Stevie Ray.
Virgil.
Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray was
Virgil
in NWO,
Virgil
bro.
would be the one for me. Yes, Virgil.
Yes, Virgil.
What did he
I'll
do?
take a picture with
Mine's
you.
is IRS.
Oh my god, he was.
I forgot IRS was in there actually.
Or when they brought in Dusty Rhodes for no reason.
Yep.
Dude,
Remember that?
rest in peace to what's name? It's like the original NWO had Rick Rude in it, right? He was original.
Rick
Yeah.
Rude, yeah.
Rick Rude's NWO, like he was original. 'Cause I
And
remember
in
he
DX.
Rick
Yeah.
Rude, I think it was Rick Rude, but because they taped Raw back then,
Yep.
and
He
Nitro
was
was live. Rick Rude showed up on Nitro while
Yeah,
he was being taped and was on Monday Night Raw.
yeah,
Yep.
Ted
That was
DiBiase as
insane.
the Bunny Man. Uh, that was one of my favorites right there.
dude, like
I've
that,
seen
and
somebody
like,
say Ted DiBiase.
and it was so weird because like it was cool how the NWO were like rebels, but then like you said when they started, like it was cool when they had Macho, Kurt Hennig, and all them, and they had a few guys, but then next thing you know it, I look up, everybody's in the NWO. I'm like
The
everybody.
Nasty Boys.
Oh my god,
The Giant.
Well, they got in because Hogan's best friends with Brian Knobb, so that's how they pretty much got in.
Do y'all remember Horace Hogan?
Oh my God,
Yes.
yes, yes, man.
he did. Horace Hogan did. He did deathmatch shit for a minute in
Okay.
Japan. He was at he was on like an old FMW tape. He was in FMW for a minute. From 91 to 92, he was in he started in Japan.
Yeah,
That's
1, 2,
crazy
3.
as fuck. I didn't know that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Remember that promo that X-Pac hit when he first got into WWF after leaving WCW, just going off on Bischoff and Hogan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was saying that my friends Hall and Nash would be here, but no. Hogan's got his
Oh,
head up on Bischoff's ass and all that
Oh
other stuff.
god. You know who's one
Yeah,
of my
that
favorite
is-
wrestlers that nobody ever really talks about? Dean Malenko.
I love
Man
Dean.
of a thousand
Oh, yeah. I
volts.
love
Malenko,
Dean Malenko.
yeah.
I'm a Dean
I
Malenko.
love
man.
talking about Dean. Dean Malenko's the shit. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
I never really hear people like because I guess because like
Two wrestling fans, you do.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm about to say.
And I heard he's like the
talking
nicest
about
guy.
Dean Malenko. Shit.
He's
I heard
working
he's like
in
the nicest guy
AEW
ever.
right now, right?
Dude,
Yeah,
his,
he's with ABW. Yeah.
Yeah.
his feud with Jericho pretty much
Oh,
set
he
the
might be
cruiserweight
insane.
division.
Speaking of
in
which, Jericho
WCW.
had the greatest like intros to me. That WWF when he got there and he came out of nowhere and nobody knew about it. Like that was crazy.
The
Then he went
countdown,
toe
they
to, and then they put him
counted.
toe to toe against The Rock on the mic on his first night in WWF.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Shout out to Jericho, man. And see, that's crazy about WCW how they had all those guys because they were considered small. They stuck them in like cruiserweights and like lower matches, and all those guys ended up being champion, including
that's because they became all about the NWO. That's why I said it made WCW and killed it at the same time.
dude. Like, and I know nobody wants to talk about Chris Benoit, but Chris Benoit was a great wrestler. So
Yeah, he's one of my
He
top 5
was.
favorite wrestlers of all time.
I was a huge Benoit fan. His matches with Kurt Angle, best wrestling matches you had ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
and by the way, I think can everybody agree here Goldberg is overrated really bad? Do we all agree?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Man,
But what standpoint though? Like it's weird because like people say like okay, they'll praise Hulk Hogan all day but say he can't wrestle, but it's okay. They won't do the same with Goldberg.
I'm an
For
equal
me,
opportunist with that.
I think Goldberg had a more believable moveset than let's say the Ultimate Warrior, but you know, I still hold against Goldberg that Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. And
I
you know,
get that. I'm not
because
even taking that. What I'm trying to say is that when you talk about overrated, what are we talking about? Are we talking about his career? Because his career is stand. I mean, you can't argue fact. I don't even like Goldberg, so I'm just saying, like, is he just not fun to watch right now, or was he not fun to watch then? Because he
I
was
think the
then
way
and now.
damn.
I mean, to me,
I
I
think his momentum was a big deal to a lot of people. How he just came along and it was
Mhm.
like he was kind of forced on a lot of someone said forced in the comments. He was
I
forced.
agree with that.
He kind
I
of
mean,
got
what was
forced.
he like 182 and 0 before
And
he
then he
actually
went
Kevin
lost weight?
Nash.
something like that.
Before Kevin Nash happened?
Yeah, before Kevin Nash tased him. Like that's
But he
the
Yeah,
was
biggest thing.
selling
like
shit out. That's what I'm trying to say. Like he was actually selling shit out. I mean, to go ahead and do what he did for a Monday night Nitro in the Georgia Dome. That's not to say like it's not like John Cena where people say John Cena was forced down our throats. Well, I mean, I can agree with Goldberg being one of those people where they were forced, but people didn't reject it.
is like even back then, would you go pay money to go see Goldberg?
I
No,
did.
I was.
I
You
mean,
did?
didn't he pin Brock
Well,
Lesnar
I
in like
mean,
5
Well,
seconds?
I mean, not. I'm just saying, like,
no.
if you
My
think
thing
back
is
on
like if WC because I like WCW back then. WCW came through. He's part of the package. Yeah, I want to see this shit. I want to see Goldberg because no one was doing shit with NWO as far as beef goes until Sting. And
Yeah.
then
it.
after Sting, there was no one either. Sting joined the NWO,
To
whatever.
DDP, Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh my
DP was
God!
doing
Shout
his
out to
thing.
DDP,
He was beefing with like Hall and Nash.
Macho
That,
Man.
that was what was more memorable in my opinion. All I'm trying to
I,
figure out is this: you have to differentiate. Like, okay, was he overrated as far as his in-ring work, or was he overrated as far as career goes? That's all I'm saying. Because when you say it's over, I look at it as a whole, right? Like, the people pay to see him? Absolutely, it was the biggest thing going at that time. But like, if you look at like, would you pay to see him wrestle for real, like in a how can I say it, like put a Dean Malenko, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Same aspects as we look at Dean or Jericho or somebody like that. You see what I'm saying? No, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? That's why I'm
yeah,
trying to figure out what's the difference between the two.
I
mine
get you, bro.
is yeah. That's how I look at it. He's overrated in ring, like in ring wise.
You put him in the Ultimate Warrior tier.
Damn. If we go around, right?
Yeah.
What I don't give a fuck if it's heel or not. It doesn't even have to be popular opinion. Your top three ever.
Wrestlers.
Ever. When you look at every category, who are the
Any
top three
promotion.
for your personal opinion, personal, not
You're
have
gonna have to
Okay.
give me a minute right there. Let
yeah.
me
I
think
got a
about
hot
that one.
I
three.
will automatically put in. I'm gonna automatically put in Bret Hart. He's my
Y2J
Yep.
is one for me. Chris Jericho definitely is one for me. He's still here.
Undertaker, best gimmick.
Jericho,
Undertaker.
Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles are my top three.
Oh,
There you go.
Mine,
Okay.
Bret Hart #1, Shawn Michaels #2, and #3 is hard. I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Perfect.
Mm.
mm,
Nice.
Mm.
mm. I think I would go
My,
Bret Hart. I would, as much as I know a lot of people don't like. Well, I mean, everybody kind of puts him in his top 5, but I like Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn Michaels is in my top 3. I will put Shawn Michaels in my top 3.
My 3, no particular order: Taker, Flair, and in ring, Kurt Angle.
Kurt's fine.
Hey,
Who would you say is your top 3 underrated that may not get mentioned much?
Lance Storm, Chris Candido, and those two. I don't even need a third. Those two right there. Lance Storm and Chris Candido are the most 2 underrated people I've ever seen. Mike Awesome.
Christian for me, if we're gonna call Christian, if I can call Christian underrated, Christian for me.
Christian was winning titles like everywhere
he was winning titles, but I mean,
nobody really talk about his singles career though.
Yeah, like did you really care about it?
He won the WWE title or the Big Gold. He won that.
But that was because like Edge retired though, so you know.
Yeah,
he still got it. Nah, don't do that. He still got it though. You know what I'm saying? People be retiring all the time. People don't get belts because of it.
But I think he deserves more recognition than we give him.
Okay.
I mean, if we can put that out there.
Jerry Lynn is one of mine. You know, I'm
gonna put Raven. I'm gonna put Raven in mine's underrated. Raven was underrated.
Yeah,
I think
he sold that character really well too. By the way, in WCW, that loner attitude, like
quote the Raven, nevermore,
bro. Like that whole.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that whole flock, like Billy Kidman.
Yep.
All those guys.
Sick Boy and all that.
Yeah, I was gonna put Billy Kidman in. That guy in the cruiserweight division, and he could mix it with like the faster cruiserweights with Lucha Libre, and a more of like a cruiserweight / power style. Billy Kidman, he was pretty good.
He was the definition of what American cruiserweight was, light heavyweight. Him and Dean Malenko definitely off rip. I like because Dean didn't work Japan, he didn't work American style, and then I'd say Kidman did the same thing. But yeah, no, I think big men don't get the good big men because everyone talks hella shit. Look, man, we like people that aren't hella big now because we grew up also we grew up on cruiserweights. So anyone that was through that era that watched, of course, was gonna love Ring of Honor, PWG, all that shit because of how fast it was. I mean, if it wasn't for cruiserweights, we would never have AJ and respected the fuck out of them. But I say when you have good big men, I always say that they're underrated. I always say Bam Bam is definitely on that list.
Yes,
absolutely.
Bam Bam scared
the main evented a Mania against Lawrence Taylor and made it look deep.
Yeah, I still remember that like it was yesterday too. The build up to that was great too.
He was in WCW, he was in WWF, but he still transitioned. He put people over. He made Spike Dudley look amazing with the David and Goliath thing. He went over for that. The RVD matches. I'm telling you, Bam Bam.
He did a hell of a cartwheel too.
Yeah, shit, man. I don't care anybody. Bam Bam, because I didn't answer my question that I asked y'all, but Bam Bam is my top 3 of all time.
What about Vader?
Now that you mentioned that, I want to make a replacement. I did say Mr. Perfect was in my top 3, but now that you mentioned Big Man, I got to take him out and put Vader at number 3.
Yeah, Vader.
I love Vader, but like Bam Bam, Vader was sick, but Vader was like he wouldn't. He was hard to work with for a lot of people.
Yeah, he's real stiff.
Yeah, Sting talked about that.
Yeah. Well, Shawn Michaels, same thing. You know what I'm saying? But
Flair said the same thing too.
But in Japan, he was bullying everybody. I mean, if he allowed it, cool. He tried Stan Hansen and got his eye knocked out in the middle of a match.
I remember that.
Stan Hansen knocked the shit out of him. Like it wasn't a joke. But like, yeah, like because we're talking about video games. Vader is the only person in Fire Pro that's like the highest cranked person when it sets out the default. Like the joke is face Vader and Fire Pro is automatic critical. Like you automatically get knocked out. It's just crazy.
Yep, and then Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2, he's the strongest wrestler in the game. And his moveset, like just to name a few, he's got a power bomb, he's got a choke slam, and he's got a bear hug, and he's got every single power move you can think of. And he has a jackhammer.
You know what big wrestler they tried to push really hard, but like weird shit always happened to him. Fucking Psycho. No, fucking Psycho Sid.
Oh my
love
god,
Psycho
man!
Sid.
Psycho
He
Sid when he
went to
came
play
off the
baseball
rope.
or some shit. Like he wanted to go play softball.
Yeah, like and
Yeah.
then he broke his. Remember when he tried to do that little? What did he try to do on top of? He broke his leg.
Like
He
a
tried.
little
He
He
tried to
shot.
come
tried
off
to
the
do an
top
axe
rope and
handle.
it,
He told them before the match because they were wanting to try to do some top rope moves and stuff like that. And I think it was against Scott Steiner. And from what I read in the story, Sid did not want to do that. He's like, I don't go off the top rope at all. And he wasn't even on the top. He was on the second turnbuckle. And he was
yeah.
just coming down with an axe handle. And then ankle, gone.
By the way, I'm gonna say this off the bat. We didn't mention him at all, but when it came to Mike stuff, Scott Steiner. Oh my god.
Oh my god, dude! Shout out to Scott Steiner,
Shout out
The
to Steiner
TNA
Man,
Wrath promo. Oh my
the
God.
best. Steiner Man,
dude. It didn't matter what it was. He can make a promo out of anything.
the big bad booty daddy.
Dog, Big Papa Pump. Bro, Big Papa Pump was crazy. He had a cool finishing move too.
The Steiner recliner.
The Steiner
Yeah.
recliner.
Ah, Screwdriver was the best one.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
That
But you
Screwdriver
can't get that now though. You'll probably
orange
kill
fresh.
somebody.
That's just wild.
Oh my god. Speaking of which, yeah.
Oh my god, his Jake the Snake in
Another
AEW since we
great
speak.
heel.
That's what you put. People say like Jake Snake, Robert, Scott Hall, and
Two
Raven. Those
underrated
three,
right there.
they're
You
like they're like a kind of category of their own, like a wrestler type thing as far as psychology goes.
And had one. I love his finishing move, by the way. The outside of
Oh,
his edge.
yes.
Yeah. Like, and speaking of finishing moves, Dom always brings this up, but was it the Canadian Destroyer?
Oh, the Canadian Destroyer before
Yeah,
it got
yeah.
oversaturated like it is now was like still my favorite. The one done by P.D. Williams though.
Petey Williams and TNA. I still get
Yes,
scared whenever somebody tries to do one of those. I will freak out for them.
Now I'm seeing big dudes do it off the top rope, so it's kind of
Oh
like
no.
oversaturated now. But yeah, Canadian Destroyer was
Speaking of the wrestling games, if AEW is making the AKI Wrestling Engine game, like everybody's thinking, what are the chances that we'll get legends like Dean Malenko and Jake the Snake Roberts and stuff like that?
I think very high because I think that'll be the whole thing. Like, dude, like you know how many wrestlers? Like I see like sports people, they talk about it all the time. But wrestlers, that is the one game they always talk about. Like
Everyone sat in and played it. It shit came out like right the summertime, man. That shit was crazy.
dude, like if
Good
they,
game.
I told somebody, man, if somebody had the money or the pool to like, say if they just like remastered it, like WWE, they made it WWE No Mercy. They remastered the game and put it out. I promise you right now, it will sell out everywhere.
Put it on the Switch. That would be it.
no,
Put it on-
Yep.
no. Oh, because you don't have one. Is that what this is?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, don't put it on- yeah, I don't think- yeah, don't-
I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying like, but for the Switch, it would be. I think you could do that.
You know, one thing that people didn't know is that the AKI, they got the rights to WCW to make another wrestling game that was going to be WCW Mayhem 2 on the PS2. But what happened was that WWF bought the WCW out, so that game got canceled and it ended up turning into Def Jam Vendetta.
Okay.
Speaking of Def Jam Vendetta, like, would y'all like to see like another one come out, like with the
Who would they?
current rappers?
Well, see, the problem is
Yes.
this. The problem is this. Who would want to be on the game? Because
Well,
you know,
have like
dudes.
Lil Yachty versus who? Like you know,
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I feel like
NBA young boy, you know.
bro, the funniest shit if you got to fight with Young Thug or somebody, bro. Like,
Yeah,
Boy,
like
put
these
Boosie
rappers
put
today
Boosie in
ain't
there.
unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? You give me Project Pat and I'm beating everybody's ass.
or you like I know for a fact, like somebody like Fat Joe or LL will do it because like they was on like you get LL to do it because guys like that. But imagine getting the game, bro. You got to fight with like Lil Baby or somebody.
Lil
You gotta fight the baby. The
versus
baby is the final boss.
By the way, somebody in the comments they were saying, did y'all realize on WCW World Tour that Muhammad Ali was on the game?
Joe Bruiser.
Yeah, Joe Bruiser.
And,
yeah.
and you had to unlock him, right? You had to go through.
Yeah,
those
he was the
years
final.
things.
He was the final boss. Like he was in that final. Because I remember you unlocked Diamond Dallas Page. Shout out to Don's favorite wrestler, Glacier.
Yeah,
Glacier.
man,
Did you have to unlock Glacier?
Fucking Glacier, bro.
He started
AEW
AEW too now, didn't he? Yeah, he showed up in AEW too.
Yeah, on that first.
He did in the buy-in, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Glacier. Then you unlocked. I think it was Macho Man, right? Yeah, NWO was Macho Man.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Mr.
unlocked
Kurt Hennig was unlockable, I
Yep.
think.
Yeah.
One of the luchadors too. Who was it?
Ultimo.
Was it
Ultimo Dragon
Laparca?
was.
No, it wasn't Laparca.
Nah, it was. Fuck, who was that? Because it wasn't Laparca. It wasn't Psychosis.
It was Kurt Hennig, Canyon, Ming and Barbarian, and Rowdy Piper.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout, dude, because you know, well, it was Mortis. Because I think Kane was on there. It was Mortis, right? Because he had two different ones. Because they had Mortis and Canyon. Because it was him. Shout out to Mortis with the flatline. The flatline was crazy. Shout out to Mortis, man. I'm trying to think who else.
Oh, Billy Kidman. There it is.
That is, yeah. It was Billy Kidman. You know what? We never even mentioned Booker T on any of this. Booker T is an underrated wrestler on Revenge, by the way.
I didn't like him because he didn't have any knockout moves.
I thought you were about to say Booker T's underrated. Period. I was about to be like,
nah.
Yeah, I thought I did too. I ain't gonna lie. I was about to be like, you know, like
King Booker.
Nah, Booker's different, bro. Booker, it's crazy though, considering what he was in WCW until like that to now. You would have never thought, because like WCW held him back so long. He was just a tag team.
From Hulk Hogan, we coming for you to where he is
We
now,
come
man.
you, nigga. Yeah,
like he's right there. Like he's Hall of Fame right there, man.
He
Stone Cold
really,
Steve Austin and him in the grocery store.
His match
oh my God.
with Dickhead Benoit. The best of 5 or best of 6 match or best of 7 or whatever, where it was Benoit and Booker.
Well, shit, let's go ahead and end this, man. So what I need everybody to do real quick is plug everybody's information. So Dom, go ahead and plug your information in, man.
Yeah, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Euphoric Trip, and High Flyers Wrestling Podcast. Actually, we got a Wednesday Night Wars AEW NXT episode dropping tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshlySnipes21, and you can listen to me and Hendo on Mo Sports Talk. Appreciate y'all tuning in.
All right, Base, let them know.
Follow Fat Kid Deals on Twitter, and then what is it? WC Pro Official on Twitter. If you have IWTV, catch us on there too. And that's for West Coast Pro Wrestling.
Man, LX, tell them where to find you, brother.
Find me on YouTube at LX Dark Sniper, and you can also follow me on Instagram at LX Dark Sniper.
All right, Rico.
You can follow me on Twitter, Rick James, RIQUE James. You can find me on Mixer, same name. You can find me on Twitch, Rick James 89. You see me speed run through Resident Evil again. I'll probably do it here in a little few. Just had to put that out there, but appreciate y'all having me.
Definitely thank you, everybody on Twitch, everybody on Facebook, Twitter, everybody that's watching on both YouTubes right now for Euphoric Trip and mine, of course. But we appreciate you guys, and yeah, follow all these dudes, man. Trust me, these dudes are some of the best minds I could think of when I thought about doing this. I trust all these guys' opinion, man. And they're all gamers too, by the way. And I think some of the best gamers I've ever seen in my life. Like these guys are like some of the best gamers I've ever seen. They got things they do online, streaming and everything. And some probably don't stream anymore, but definitely, man, follow them. We out.
Peace, man.